What's happening? It's Todd McShay, host of The McShay Show at The Ringer and Spotify. Listen, I love all aspects of football, from the college to the professional game, but the draft is my grind. Listen and watch The McShay Show for all of my draft analysis. And if you want more, subscribe to my newsletter, The McShay Report, where you can find my mock drafts and big boards and all of the buzz and intel I'm hearing from NFL decision makers. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe to The McShay Show on The Ringer, Spotify, and wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. And subscribe to The McShay Report today for a special introductory offer. Google The McShay Report or find it on theringer.com.
Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. Sorry, the Ringer NFL Draft Show, baby. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And I think this might be the single most anticipated recording in the history of our show. Usually we come here, we play the free agency drinking game this time of year with Adam Schefter. We don't have time for that. Craig and DK are already hungover. Craig is sick. Craig has the flu or something. This is Craig's flu game. Craig, are you live? I haven't actually asked how you're doing.
I'm okay. I don't know if I have the flu, but I have something between the cold and the flu. Anyway, I was in a fugue state sleeping yesterday on the couch. I literally woke up to Heifetz calling me. I did not answer it. And then I logged on Twitter to find out. I logged on Blue Sky, actually, because Twitter was down most of the time, to log on to find out that DK Metcalf had been traded to the Steelers. So thank you. You actually brought that to me, Heifetz.
I told him to call you, Craig, because we've talked about this in the past. This was a call someone situation.
Right.
Normally, you text someone or whatever, the group chat's blowing up. You need to call Craig, get him on the horn, and tell him that DK Metcalf is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. It's ironic. We should go back to our DK Metcalf argument from a couple of years ago, Craig, and see how that lives.
We have a lot of arguments that we're going to have to relitigate here. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, Craig's a Steelers fan. DK is a Seahawks fan. DK,
I already can't remember the argument. Was I anti-DK?
Yeah, you were. But not like, you weren't like you hate him or anything. You just think he's overrated.
You were just, you also had thoughts on Sam Darnold we'll have to revisit. But yeah, so DK, since we last recorded,
fair.
The Seahawks have traded Geno Smith to the Raiders for a third rounder. They signed Sam Darnold for like $100 million. The Seahawks cut receiver Tyler Lockett, and they traded DK Metcalf, who's like your favorite player, I believe, to the Steelers.
You were named after him, I believe, right?
You're named after
totally.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
So DK, my first question for you, wellness check. Are you okay?
I mean, I've already worked my way through the however many levels of grieving that there are. And I'm on the other side now. I feel great. No, I don't know. I'm trying to decide which one I liked worse or which one I liked more, I should say, or which one hurt more, I should say.
Oh, like trading Geno away or trading DK Metcalf?
Geno or trading DK. Like,
there's no way trading Geno hurt more than DK Metcalf.
Well, I think it's worse for the team.
Yeah, but emotionally, like to who you are as a person, a fan, right. There's no way.
It's the end of an era.
Craig's like, DK Metcalf, icon. How could that not hurt you more?
I know, it's tough. DK Metcalf, 27 years old, in the prime of his life, in the
Can't
prime of his
he's still
career.
27. He doesn't turn 28 till basically the new year.
I know. He came into the league really young. I think he was like 20, 21 years old. So he's been around for a while. But yeah, it's kind of weird because generally speaking, I think it's, and this is something I should say I've been, talking about a lot on our show lately, is cap space when used on good players is that's a good use of cap space. Using that on good players is a good use of cap space. I will, go to my grave saying that. However, the Seahawks decided to trade away a good player. Two good players, really, with not much of a backup plan. The Sam Darnold thing now, it makes more sense. Technically, it wasn't official when they traded him. I think there was some sort of like handshake deal, which is probably illegal. But yeah, the Geno Smith thing makes a little more sense to me now. The DK Metcalf thing it hurts my heart a little bit, but I think it doesn't affect the Seahawks quite as much. So that's that.
You seem dead inside.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, the Seahawks, the second best receiver on the Seahawks is Jake Bobo. Maybe. Who is the second best receiver on the Seahawks right now?
This whole thing is funny because I feel like in Seattle, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett leaving the team is a sign that like the Russell Wilson chapter is officially closed.
Yeah.
Like that era of the team is like, it's officially
It's the
done.
Pete Carroll. It's the end of the Carroll.
Yes.
Craig, I said this yesterday on Blue Sky. Skeeted it.
We're still doing this. Blue Sky's a huge day.
We're doing it harder
down.
than ever. We are so skeeting so hard.
Follow
now.
us on Blue Sky. Blue Sky's like Twitter if Twitter wasn't horrific. So and it actually works most of the time.
Basically, when Mike McDonald took over for the Seahawks, this kind of flew under the radar. I don't know if we actually talked about it on our show, but he took down all of the posters in the VMAC, which is the Seahawks headquarters, of like all the great moments in recent Seahawk history. You know, Richard Sherman probably like tipping the ball to Malcolm Smith to go to the Super Bowl. A handful of others. It kind of it hurt people. It hurt some people. I think I saw Richard Sherman talking about it, how it's stupid, and it kind of pissed off some fans, it pissed off some local radio hosts. It was like a big talking point in Seattle. At the time, I was like, come on, who gives a shit? This is meaningless. Like, he's just turning the page, like starting a new era. And now, like, getting rid of DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, I'm like, oh, I probably should have actually looked into this a little bit more. Like, they are fully turning the page on the Pete Carroll era. That is over. This is a whole new thing for the Seahawks. You know, Geno Smith was like Pete Carroll's guy. Geno Smith was one of the only players who went to Pete Carroll's, press conference when he was fired or whatever, which is, again, kind of a weird thing to do. But, so it just feels like we have completely turned the page on those old Seahawks. This is a brand new thing, brand new system. Obviously, John Schneider's still here, but it feels like they're very intentionally sort of like closing that chapter of the Seahawks. And
the remnants of the glory days are officially gone. Do you think, straight up, did the Seahawks upgrade at quarterback?
No. I think there is a chance, and this is Cope, I'm sure. I don't think right now, like in a vacuum, I think Geno Smith is better than Sam Darnold. I don't think that's really a hot take. That's probably not a hot take.
I'm going to go out of here. I'm going to go out on a limb. You don't seem like you're coping with any of this. I wouldn't describe any of what's happening right now as cope.
What do you think I'm doing?
What do I think you're doing? Sober and depressed.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Coping is like if the Giants sign Aaron Rodgers and I'm like Super Bowl.
Well, here's what I would say if I was coping. He's younger. He's a lot younger. Sam Darnold's 27 years old. He's probably a better fit, honestly, for the Clint Kubiak offense. I would gripe over how the Seahawks are doing this. Typically, as a coaching staff and a free front office, you want to tailor your team and your roster and your scheme around the strengths of your quarterback. They went the other way. They got a new offensive coordinator who is largely unproven and has been fired multiple times in Clint Kubiak. And then they brought in a quarterback that will fit that instead of having the guy that's been good and there. So that's like a weird strategy in itself.
Him fitting is also irrelevant if they can't fucking block. Half the reason why Sam Darnold was good on the Vikings is because, one, it was a very cushy situation all around with the coach and the skill players, but he was also protected. And the Seahawks, Bill Barnwell, I was reading Bill Barnwell. He said the Seahawks are last in money spent on their offensive line in 2025.
Yeah. So hopefully that changes. This is, again, if we had talked on Sunday or whatever, when this was all going down, I would have been like, the Seahawks have no plan. What the hell is this? They're like tanking. Now it looks a little different. So obviously, like maybe in a week or so, we'll find out the Seahawks have made all these moves to improve their offensive line, made trades, whatever. Laramie Tunsil was traded today, which I'm sure we'll get to. Things like that. Whereas we haven't quite seen all the different dominoes fall yet for me to make a full, appraisal of the situation. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line has not been good. I saw Mina Kimes said this stat in terms of pressure rate on pressures that come within less than 2.5 seconds. So basically really quick pressures. Geno Smith had the highest pressure rate in the NFL last year. So good luck with that, Sam Darnold. I think that the scheme will help some because they're going to be running the ball and play action and doing something schematically to help the quarterback that faces a lot of pressure by booting him out, getting him outside the pocket, things of that nature. I don't know if it's really going to work. This is all very good in theory. But again, to get back to my cope, Heifetz, the answer I would give you if you're looking for like the silver lining this or like the positive glass half full thing is Darnold's younger, cheaper, and there is the potential there for him to become a franchise quarterback. Whereas like Geno Smith, he's 34. He's going to be 35 this year. That ship has sailed. He's a bridge quarterback, 100%. And I think Darnold. I
love when you talk down a player, you always mention the age they're going to turn next year. And then when you talk up a player, it's like he's still only this age.
100%.
He is also going to be turning another year older than next year.
But
he'll factually turn.
Like to me, I'm like DK Metcalf is only 27, even though he'll be 28 at the end of the year. But Geno Smith, maybe he is 34, but he's going to be 35.
I'm 29, not like will be 30.
He'll turn 35 in on October 10th. So what is that, like week 5? I don't know. Whatever.
But but his age is weird because it's like what's his biological age?
He's barely
it's like,
played.
Well, Sam Darnold's played
Brian
the
Johnson
last 10
over
years.
here. Yeah,
it's like that Brian Johnson guy who's trying to live forever, so he's measuring his like dick blood flow
his
or whatever.
penis is 32 years old.
My dick is biologically 22 years
have
old.
You seen
Have
you seen the duration of his
That
erections?
guy should not live in LA. I continue to be baffled by that. The air quality here is bad.
That guy is just unbelievable. Yeah, also, oh my God. Anyway, if you don't know what we're talking about,
he also kind of looks his age. I mean, I know that's kind of not the point.
He's 46. He looks
does
46.
Look
No, it's 100% the point, Craig.
Like
well,
$15 million.
It's about your age on the inside, but also the outside doesn't look great.
No.
He's definitely aged himself. But Geno Smith reminds me of that because Geno Smith's like 34, but also has played fewer games than Sam Darnold in the last decade. So it's like, how does that work? Why
weird.
do quarterbacks age? Because how much of it's just being 35 and how much of it's you've accumulated a lot of hits in the last 12 years? So I don't know. And on one end of the spectrum, he's actually, you could argue, I don't know what his biological Brian Johnson age for Geno is, but DK, I don't know. I'm sorry because it's weird because I guess my question that I still am rattling around in my mind is if the argument is basically we're going to have this like Kubiak system and we're going to have like what Darnold was doing in Minnesota and a more like McVay style, like more like modern stuff. Why not just do that with Geno? Like, what is the hesitance on the Seattle end to do? Is it just the age or is there a part of Geno's game that Mike McDonald and maybe John Schneider don't really mesh with? Or is it just they want someone 7 years younger? Mm-hmm. They don't think Geno can do that? Because I feel like Geno's played better. And man, it sounds crazy but Darnold had a better team than
I know. Well,
Geno did
for starters, Kubiak coached Darnold in San Francisco in 2023, I believe.
Keep in mind, Sam Darnold will be 28 this year.
That's true. And also,
June
for people
5th.
who are wondering what I'm talking about, I know Darnold played well with Minnesota, but also that's with like just a better team and a better
surrounding cast. I think so. Look, at the end of the day, teams tell you what they think of players.
Yes.
By their actions. The Seahawks traded Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick. I mean,
that's crazy.
That's really all you need to say. Like, they just don't think he's that good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they just don't think he's worth giving that much money to. They don't think he's the future of their team. They think they have a better chance of kind of resetting right now instead of giving Geno Smith this $40 million per whatever. It's like, I think he wants like 45 per at least. They think they're in a better position to sign Darnold. Hopefully turn Darnold into the next like Baker Mayfield type reclamation project where you have sort of not a franchise quarterback, but a guy you can win with. They obviously didn't see that with Geno, even though you could argue that they were doing that. They won 10 games last year. I don't really, there's a lot of, it's confusing, I think, for Seahawks fans. But that at the end of the day, I think this is sort of their calculated risk is they think they have a higher upside and they can get him cheaper and they get a 3rd-round pick by going with Darnold. So
would you have preferred they just re-sign Geno and re-sign DK?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think so. I'm already kind of talking myself into this. It's like the mystery box, Craig. We were comparing like, who would you rather have, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers? And believe me, we'll get into that.
I'm so annoyed it hasn't happened yet. If it happens while we're on the pod, that'd be great. But like, honestly, and you said at the time, this was like, we were having this discussion probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was like, you're just like, I want Aaron Rodgers because he's the mystery box. I've already seen Russell Wilson. Right. I tasted that.
So there's an element of that for me with Geno Smith where I'm like, I don't know. Let's see how this goes. Maybe he does fit better in the scheme. Geno Smith did there was a ton of shotgun stuff this year. Generally speaking, he didn't do maybe this wasn't his fault, but they didn't do as much play action as I think the team would want. And they had a really, really like high pass rate this last season. They fired their offensive coordinator. They traded away their quarterback, and they're going a completely different direction with it.
Can I cut in here for some breaking news?
Yes.
Oh, no.
This is from Adam Schefter.
Oh, no.
The Browns just traded for a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Who do you guys think they traded for?
The Browns traded for a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Kenny Pickett.
Trade?
Yeah, trade.
Carson Wentz. Because you're doing this as a bit.
It is Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, damn it.
Oh, my God. Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, it's real.
Bring back the Kenny Pickett stats.
The rumors are true. The Eagles are trading quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a 2025 5th-round pick and Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Oh, my God.
Well, damn, Kenny Pickett. Damn. well-traveled.
The
man.
Eagles are going to turn Dorian Thompson-Robinson into like a third rounder at some point.
Yeah, watch. Yeah, they're going to flip that red paper clip. I will just say, so we're on Geno thing. I want to come back to the Raiders of it all, but I want to stick here with the DK Metcalf trade because again, so DK Metcalf traded for a second-round pick. They wanted Seahawks wanted a first and a third, and then they settled for a second, and then like a little pick swap at the end, and then the Steelers signed him to 5 years, $150 million.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Frankly, I don't know whether to start with Craig's elation or DK. DK's been sad for a minute. Craig,
You technically don't even know if I'm elated.
that's true. How do you feel?
Yeah, how do you feel?
I think it's really fucking cool. And I think the Steelers don't do cool things. And I think ultimately, if you're a Steelers fan, if you don't like the money, if it's too high, if he wasn't the receiver you wanted, you have to throw all that away. This is cool. The Steelers never do cool shit. It's not your money. You know what I mean? Like, enjoy it. We got a really cool player. This is the biggest free agency signing the Steelers have ever done, basically.
Do you guys, you know what this feels like? You know when you have a friend that like just won't come out to a bar or just stay out or whatever, or just, you know what I mean? Never comes to the second bar. Is the Steelers trading for DK Metcalf feels like you got the friend to come out that never comes out?
It's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And
What
there's like
are you
nothing
doing here?
cooler than that. When it's like, no way, Jeremy's coming out tonight.
Now you're like, are you
now
okay?
we all have to
Is
go
he okay?
for it. Yeah.
Are the Steelers okay?
It feels a little bit like you're buying a Corvette before buying a house, because I don't know who's going to throw to George Pickens or DK Metcalf or Pat Freiermuth. But like, there was no good homes on the market, so fuck it, we'll live in our car.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
We'll
so
live
funny.
in our car.
I dropped this in
Sounds
the group.
great.
So Jackie's from Pittsburgh. I dropped this in the group chat with her family, and they're just like, so who's throwing him the ball? And I'm like, yeah, that's a good question. Because I don't even want to spend that much time on it, because, I mean, I don't know. It's like the Rodgers thing might happen by tonight. It might happen tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. I feel like if it's not, though, it's going to be Russ.
Yeah.
Just because Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, like DK Metcalf, one of the reasons DK fell in love, Danny Kelly fell in love with DK Metcalf is because he had like 25 touchdowns in his first two seasons in Seattle with Russell Wilson. So I feel like you would just bring Russ back. I don't even know if Pickens fits there either. I feel like Pickens might have to go. So I feel like the Steelers have more moves coming. But I totally agree, Craig. I don't totally know what they're doing. But this, to me, is the point. How often have the three of us joked that the Seahawks are just the NFC Steelers, the Steelers are just the AFC Seahawks? They're these both teams who are always competitive, always good, rarely great. And you're in this weird mix of you're tired of rooting for these 9-7 seasons. You don't want to complain to people like me whose teams suck, but you're just never on the level of the Eagles or the Chiefs or these teams you want to beat. And to me, this whole weekend is the story of these two teams taking completely different approaches, where the Steelers are like, we got to do something different. We're going to go to DK Metcalf and maybe like a real guy, like Brooke Pryor at ESPN made a great point that the biggest outside acquisition with money the Steelers have ever done is like $41 million last year for Patrick Queen. $41 million. DK's 130. It's like by far the biggest investment they've made in a non-Steeler. Like the last time they traded for a veteran, not counting Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was a second-year player, the last time Bill Barnwell had this, the last time they played it for traded like a second for a veteran was like Jerome Bettis in like 1996. They never do this. And then you have, so they're going for it, but the Seahawks are the opposite, where they're really tearing it down, like for real.
Yeah, it's a little messy what the Steelers are doing. It's like, but it's fun messy. You know, in a fantasy draft when you're like in a bidding war for a player, but you don't really want him, you're just kind of enjoying the bidding war, and then you end up with him.
Now what?
And then you're like, all right, well, and then you just kind of tilt and be like, go on a spend. Like, it does feel like that's what the Steelers did a little bit. And it's like, we got Darius Slay. I didn't see the numbers for that. What we got Darius Slay for.
That's a good deal though. You need him, and that's perfect.
But so I'm like, this is fun. The Steelers are doing things. I want Aaron Rodgers. I don't care. I want Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather have him than Russell Wilson.
He's getting ahead of the story here.
Yeah,
he wants Aaron Rodgers.
I want a 2-year deal, whatever it is, $70 million, 30 guaranteed. That sounds great to me.
Craig, the funny thing is I guess not ironic or whatever, but it's just funny contrast, because literally in Seahawks land, according to the people that I've seen, basically everyone was like, Darnold, like, I don't know about this. Like, this feels like it's not going to work. He totally collapsed late in the season when the real pressure was on. He was terrible. How is this going to work in Seattle? But he's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So thank Christ for that.
I'm fully aware that I'm deluding myself with it, but it's like, I don't know what the Steelers are kind of getting older and they have a lot of talent.
Your window is totally different.
What else is going on?
Yeah.
If you can have just a motivated Rodgers a year after the Achilles, I'm like, let's just do it for a couple years and see what happens.
The other funny thing is that we posted on Blue Sky. Craig gave me this idea of I wanted to gather for a rundown, just all these texts from parents, like things that what in the free agency news cycle gets like prompts a text from like your dad or your mom or your grandparents where they're just like, hey, and it literally just became almost entirely a thread of Steelers fans whose parents were concerned they would sign Aaron Rodgers. Like it was just like 20 of just like, oh my God, are we going to get Aaron? Why would we do this
20
over
cowards.
and over and over again? What?
Cowards. They're all cowards. 4-time
scared
MVP.
to compete. Scared to compete.
You know what's fun? DK, how do you feel though? Because again, the Steelers are just doing something different. But how do you feel about just the idea of a rebuild? Because I think I don't think
they don't think it's a
rebuilding with Sam Darnold is a really terrifying sentence.
It's not a rebuild to them.
I guess it's a retool. I guess as John Elway would
remodel.
Say,
they're remodeling.
It's a remodel.
You don't retool, you reload.
Yeah, but the Seahawks, because you mentioned they have the youngest offensive line in the NFL. They have the cheapest offensive line in the NFL, and so. But I don't know. I guess the way I'd look at it is I think on one hand, I respect them because I think Mike McDonald and John Schneider, the GM in Seattle, are like looking at this as they actually, I think, are putting not their jobs on the line, but this is kind of the path to how you get your job on the line.
John Schneider for sure is.
Darnold sucks and Geno Smith's awesome with the Raiders and the playoffs. Like, that's bad.
He's going to kill any goodwill he has remaining with the Seahawks fan base.
But the flip side is, I bet they looked at fundamentally, they do this because they looked at paying Geno and paying DK Metcalf as a bigger risk, which I find hard to wrap my mind around, but like, we'll see if it works.
Well, I don't know. Again, not to like defend the Seahawks, but they've always kind of had this theory. I think John Schneider in particular has always had this thing where they don't like to give third contracts. You develop through the first contract, sign to a big second contract extension, and then they're pretty reticent to do a third one. I believe they did one with Cam Chancellor and his neck immediately gave out and he had to retire. They refused to do it with Earl Thomas and he went crazy. So there's like some precedent here where they just are really reticent to give any player a third contract with the team. That's DK Metcalf now. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I think every situation should be, treated individually, but I think that there is some like precedent where they don't really like to do that. It's kind of like the Bill Belichick thing where it's like get out a year early rather than a year late.
It's because DK Metcalf's turning 28. So you got to get out.
Yeah.
That's almost
in
30.
late December, though.
He's still in his
most
prime.
Of the season, he's 27.
He's still in his
30.
prime. Let's be honest.
So,
like, this is kind of ridiculous. Have you seen his body? He's fine. He's gonna age like T.O. He's gonna be like 38 years old.
Have
I
seen his body? It's the only thing I have on all my tabs are just different shots. Of DK
I don't know how many athletes' bodies have seen more than DK Metcalf. To be honest, I've seen a lot of it.
Can I just say one little button on the Steelers? If the Steelers do get Rodgers, I can't stress how much he will hate George Pickens.
I was going to say, they're not going to get along.
I can't stress how much.
The Rodgers thing kind of makes sense if you don't think about it, of like Rodgers, Metcalf, and Pickens yelling at each other. I'm like, this could go sour. Like honestly, part of me looks at if the Steelers get Rodgers, it's just Mike Tomlin being like, Mike Tomlin must be a glutton for punishment if he wants to wrangle all these people.
It really is Tomlin flexing on look at how many personalities I can juggle if he has George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers.
Do you think, I meant to ask this, do you think this is actually, we're still waiting for another domino to fall here with Pickens?
Like they trade Pickens?
Yeah, because Pickens and DK Metcalf have a pretty similar skill set in terms of like the things they win with. Down the sideline, big plays.
2 go routes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and he's also in the last year of his deal, right? Last year of his rookie contract.
Omar Khan at the Combine, he was interviewed about Pickens, and I thought he did not do a great job of sounding like he wanted to keep Pickens. It was a little bit. He was like certainly
how the
like
Seahawks said,
equivocating.
Geno Smith is our quarterback.
Yeah, it was a little like, George wants to be a great player, and we want him to be a great player. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think Pickens is either going to get traded or this is his last year in Pittsburgh. I mean, the reality is if you just look at the situation, the Steelers, the way they play football, are not going to be paying DK Metcalf $30 million a year and George Pickens, 22? You can't do that. So I think they move him if they can, if they want to, or if they're able to, or at the very least let him go in free agency next year. But I do think it's either his last year as a Steeler or he's gone. So we'll see. The other part we have to get to, so I want to get to the Raiders end of this, where the Raiders, or before we move on, anything else you guys want to say about them? I mean, this is
I just think, Craig, it is cool. I think DK Metcalf in a Steelers uniform is going to look fucking great.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be throwing him the football. My immediate reaction, to be totally honest and transparent, was like, Fuck, what does this mean for fantasy? DK Metcalf's probably going to be even worse in space.
He will.
Yeah,
Will
probably
Arthur
terrible.
Smith. Oh my god, dude, it's going to be bizarre.
So
It's like
also,
terrible.
If they do keep Pickens, this is the battle for number 14.
Yeah. Oh my! Imagine
Ooh.
what that conversation's like. If
Yeah.
Metcalf trying to buy it
Interesting.
from him.
Pickens has been playing nice on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. He seems to be happy about this. He's like posting photos, photoshopped already of him and DK Metcalf. Like these two guys are going to take over the league. So that is cool. I feel like they should motivate Pickens and be like, play one more year. We'll kind of lie and be like, and we'll give you a fat contract. He plays great, and then you get rid of him. But yeah, I think this will be cool. I think they should keep them both.
Okay, I want to get to the Raiders, but here in a second, Jackie, who did a jump scare of me, is trying to do it again. I see you now. So Jackie's trying to scare me again.
That was the best.
But I see you. Yeah, there's a video of it we can put on Instagram, but Jackie like scared the shit out of me coming home early. Anyway, the Raiders got Geno Smith, and I want to shout out the Raiders, who I'm not gonna lie, I just thought that this was maybe the worst job in the league outside the Saints, where I'm just like, you're in a division with like Sean Payton and the Broncos and Harbaugh and Herbert and the Chargers and the Chiefs, who just went 3 Super Bowls in a row.
I mean, it's still
And
a
you're
tough situation.
It's still a tough stitch, but I
Yeah.
will say, I don't know what they could have done to make me feel better realistically than they now have Tom Brady, who's actually involved and not just like, I just thought it was something on his portfolio. He really does seem to be involved. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator, which I think is going to pay huge dividends for them in the draft. Have like this guy who's like been part of college for 10 years.
Mhm.
And then now they get Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick, who, again, Geno Smith's the best quarterback. I mean, since Derek Carr in 2016, I was talking to Austin Gill about this, and I'm like, before that, dude, Rich Gannon? What, like Geno Smith is automatically one of the best quarterbacks the Raiders have had in our entire lives. Like, it's like Rich Gannon, Derek Carr's one good year, and whatever Geno Smith does this year.
Beggars can't be choosers. And DK was on this about the Raiders are not going to go draft a rookie quarterback. Pete Carroll does not want to start fresh like that and build his way up, especially with this quarterback class this year in the draft. I think this is great for the Raiders. Like, are they going to win a Super Bowl with Geno? No.
They're
But
going to be competitive.
Dude,
that's the
you need
thing.
to like pick up momentum. This is like a proof of concept. Go win 9 games, prove the infrastructure works. This is a way to like 2 years from now, other teams are going to be like, oh, the Raiders are a legitimate team. They have a legitimate infrastructure. People want to go there now. It's a real organization.
Look, this reminds me
100%.
so much of early days Seahawks. I remember when Pete Carroll came to town, initially I was kind of like skeptical. It's like this college rah-rah guy. But in year 1, they were competitive. They won a random playoff game against the Saints, like that.
Random? That was the Beastquake.
The Beastquake. I know, it was crazy, but they were 7-9 that year. They like
But yeah,
snuck
everyone
in.
was so mad that they made the playoffs, and then they destroyed
and then
the
they
Saints.
beat the defending champion Saints with like one of the most iconic plays like in my life, certainly like in one of the most iconic plays in NFL
Was that
history.
in the Ringer top 100 sports plays of the 21st
I think it
century?
was.
It was,
Yeah, shout out-
and I wrote about it actually.
Shout out, yeah, the Ringer had the top 100 sports moments of the century. Go to theringer.com. It's great.
Yeah.
Number 1.
But yeah,
Great
this
play.
reminds me so much of that because after like a year or two, the Seahawks had turned what was kind of like a sad sack organization, you know, like up in the Northwest. People don't really know about the Seahawks, and they turned them into like a really exciting place to be. And they got some free agents.
Culture.
They created a culture. They started winning more. Pete Carroll, again, super high energy, just makes it a fun place to be. He's a player's coach while at the same time being kind of cutthroat about, you know, cutting people that aren't working out. The Seahawks made like, I don't know, it was like 200 something transactions the first year where they brought a whole bunch of guys in, tried to find players that really fit what they were trying to do and really bought in. I don't know. I'm just like excited to like kind of relive that hopefully with the Raiders where they, you know, find their place and you know, kind of establish themselves, even though they're in like one of the most impossible divisions. At least I think they will be competitive.
And again, so Pete Carroll did that in Seattle, and he, you know, oldest coach in NFL history. But like, I want to check his biological age. Like, I don't look at Pete Carroll at the Raiders and see the oldest coach I've ever seen. Like, there's a lot of coaches younger than him that seem way older than him. So I love what he's doing. And honest, to your point, DK, culture. I consider myself an expert in culture now because little culture. Craig, I told you this. I'm doing sourdough now. Doing this, and like this is you need the starter. Just you can try to do your own starter, but it takes time. It could go wrong. You can wait. Like just go and get Geno Smith. He's the culture starter, and then you can just build something around. It's like you gotta get this thing going.
Sure. DK or Heifetz and I are both bread boys now.
Dude, we're bread
you
boys.
guys like
sourdough
it's taken over for golf. Now you just talk about bread all the time.
I got a starter for
That's
my
winter.
aunt. My starter's been alive for 9 years. I feed it
9
every
year
week.
starter?
9-year starter. That's
How
right,
often do you
baby.
feed that thing?
Once a week.
Wow.
This is like
Keep it
exactly
in the
like
fridge.
Gino.
If I'm gonna bake, you start to feed it more frequently every day. You can keep it out.
What do
But
you
I
feed
get
in it?
What?
flour
Like-
and water.
like
You
live
just flour
mice?
water.
Oh,
Craig,
okay.
what what is your do you have a sourdough recipe? You just vibe it because I like the first one I made went really well. You liked my crumb structure. The second one was like not.
Well, you forgot to
right.
score it, which was a problem, and that's
Well,
the reason why the
Huge
crust
problem.
looked great.
Huge problem.
That's literally the
You gotta
easiest.
score it.
The easiest part of the process is scoring it. That's the final step. But it looked really good.
So I did,
also,
okay,
I'm not
so-
a bread expert. I've made it once. I thought I nailed it, but I used Claire Safitz's bread recipe. I don't even know what publication it's on, or if it's just like her website. But Claire Safitz's bread. It might have been New York Times, and it was
Okay.
great.
Oh, yeah. I did the New York Times, the sourdough base. Email us your sourdough tips, ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I will also say the whole weighing it, I don't do any of that. Like, I just do like a cup and half of the water.
I weigh everything down to the ounce.
Do I have to get a scale like a drug dealer to make my fucking bread? Do I really?
As somebody
It's
who's
baking,
fallen,
man.
As somebody who's fallen in love with baking is science, not art. Cooking is art.
Ugh. All right,
Right.
fine. I'll do it.
I
So, but
love
same thing
I
with
love
the-
it.
Same through the Raiders. You get a scale, third
Yeah.
round.
Anyway,
80th pick or
Geno
whatever.
Smith.
So I think it's great. I think the Raiders are exciting. And like, I mean, who are the teams that easier to root for than the Raiders now? With Pete Carroll coming back from the dead, and like
Which is
Geno
so
and
crazy. You know,
Chip Kelly,
if
which
it
I don't know if
wasn't-
he's rootable, but it's cool.
if it wasn't for the Commanders, who had one of the most insane culture 180s, the Raiders, what they're doing, like the fact that the Raiders are kind of the season hasn't happened yet, so they might be terrible. But in terms of just off-season moves, culture changes.
Right.
Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Tom Brady, Geno Smith. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, the Raiders are a real
It's
team again. It's crazy how quickly that
reinvigorating.
happens.
Because you
Yeah.
have like the Bills, Josh Allen, you have the Bengals, Joe Burrow, you have like the Ravens, Lamar, like but those are all basically Super Bowl contenders that haven't won a Super Bowl. And then like the Raiders are kind of right there of like this indie band where you're like, man, I want to see them do something. So
I think
Raiders
it's
are really fun.
There's certain combinations of personalities and people that go together, and you're like, I don't know how this is going to work. But I feel like what the Raiders have right now, it feels real. I think Spytek, we don't know a ton about him, but just listening to him talk, it seems
They
like he
burn
has a
the
lot of
tapes.
energy with, the same match Pete Carroll's energy. Tom Brady and Pete Carroll is just kind of a funny pairing, but I kind of love it. And then Chip Kelly coming in and being the OC for Pete Carroll. I don't know.
Yeah. So other things that happened. So the Jets signed Justin Fields, who was Steelers quarterback, and then they signed him, and then he went 4-2, and they benched him for Russell Wilson, and they came in to do a couple like quarterback sneaks basically. And now he's on the Jets. So he got 2 years for $40 million. He's getting $20 million a year.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys, I think Justin Fields is like an S tier Jet. I think he's one of the most Jetsy players there's ever been to be a Jet. He's up there with like Le'Veon Bell and like all these other Jets where you're like, man, that guy's such a Jet.
Le'Veon Bell was the first one you thought of.
Well, just the signings. But you know what? But there's a specific window of Jetsy signing.
Sure.
Braylon Edwards back in the day. And here's what's
Yo,
important.
yeah, great one.
You have to be good enough that the fans will talk themselves into you in the offseason, invest in, and then during the season, you will flash and they'll be in. But you have to be bad enough that everyone knows the whole time there's no way this is going to work. And it's in the back, it's front of mind at the beginning, and then in the back of your mind the whole time that this will fail. And then you believe, and then they fail anyway. And I think Fields is like the perfect example of he'll have moments, but like he will not fix the Jets quarterback situation.
You remember the Justin Fields moment? I think it was when they beat the 49ers in like a monsoon storm, and he slid in for a touchdown. I just have this memory in my mind of him like standing in the end zone with like all his people around him, and I'm just like, there's gonna be at least one of those moments for the Jets, but it's gonna be fleeting. It's gonna be very fleeting. I don't know. I kind of like this. I think it makes sense for the Jets. Like, it's not going to be a long-term fix, almost surely, but you're not giving him a ton of money. You're not committing to him long-term. He's going to be exciting. He's going to run around a lot. He can reinvigorate their run game, I think, with the things that he can do on the ground, and obviously with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Garrett Wilson, just feed him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what their plan is really, but could be interesting.
Well, to be clear, as all the Jets fans are mad at me, one, it's true. Two, I mean, look, this is a better plan than
Do
whatever
Jets
the Giants
fans actually
are doing.
believe anything good's going to happen?
No, I think they're dead inside.
Okay, yeah.
But
every
like,
Jets fan I've talked to is like, Sean
they're all
Fennessy's
just like,
this is
whatever.
going to end. Everyone's going to get fired.
Yeah, we're all going to die. But
Yeah.
but I do look, again, I'm not going to say I'm confident. Like, again, this time last year, I told you guys, I kind of like Sam Darnold on the Vikings. I don't feel as good
I
about
didn't,
this.
for the record. I'll admit that. I was like, I think this is not going to go well.
Tetherball kind of came back, hitting the back of the head there. But I will say, Justin Fields, I look at it as, dude, I wouldn't be shocked if he was just good. I mean, part of me is like, dude, again, he's in my quarterback. Look, are there questions with his throwing motion and like, I think his processing, I think all this stuff, like he hasn't been a perfect player. I've also seen him at the very least shred bad defenses. Like he went on Thursday Night Football, destroyed a very bad Washington defense. So I don't know. Part of me is I've seen stranger things, then a player as talented as Justin Fields become a usable NFL piece? I'm kind of like, I don't know. Can he be like basically like a discount Jalen Hurts, where he's probably a better runner and obviously not as disciplined of a passer? But I'm like, I don't know. I kind of still like Justin Fields sometimes.
Tanner
Engstrand. Oh yeah,
how do you say his name?
Tanner Engstrand.
I don't disagree with you, Heifetz, but
He's
this is
the OC.
also such off-season talk. Like it's
Yeah,
such reckless off-season optimism.
We're building a scenario in which Justin Fields is good.
Well, here's the thing. Think of it this way. Remember what DK said like 20 minutes ago? Teams tell you what they think of players.
The Steelers
literally didn't play. He went 4-2, and then the Steelers didn't play him again. So
the Steelers went 4-2 with Justin Fields, and then we're like, "Hey, Jets, can we have Aaron Rodgers, the guy who's fucking
dude? That's
torpedoing
so crazy.
your
That's so
literally
crazy.
Yeah. These people delude themselves into thinking that it's going to work from that. It's going to work for them, but it never does.
That's the irony of the whole thing.
It could work for us.
All these shitty teams are just trading their bad quarterbacks, and we're like, ooh. And it's like in reality, everyone's just doing what the Raiders did.
And if you needed
New Jerseys, yeah.
I know. My God, we're such marks. I will just say also, among other things, the Jets lost DJ Reed, their cornerback, to the Lions, and then they signed Brandon Stevens for slightly less money. And I'm like, I don't know why, he's better. And they signed the linebacker Jamie Sherwood for $50 million.
Sure.
And
I'm a huge Jamie Sherwood fan.
Yeah. He's getting Fred Warner money.
What's your favorite Jamie Sherwood play?
I got to say, there's been so many. Is he a linebacker or a lineman?
He's an inside linebacker. Yeah.
Inside linebacker, yeah. But there's been a lot of random, like 26-year-old defensive linemen or linebackers getting like 3 years, $51 million this year.
Craig, they're simming the rest of the offseason. Everyone gets $3 million.
I've never seen
years,
so many random
mil.
defensive tackles making $18 million a year.
Everyone's getting 14. I could explain what's going on with free agency, but instead I could also I have two guys who got $10 million per year today and a lie. We can play that.
Okay.
All right. Two guys who got $10 million per year today and a lie. Patrick Jones the second.
I believe
Patrick Jones the second. Yeah.
Luke Farrell.
Tight end. Niners signed him. I believe that's correct.
What team was he on before, Craig?
The Jags? Right? Where was he?
I think so, yeah.
Last one's Jalen Moore.
The fact that we don't know for sure says a lot. Speaks volumes.
Jalen Moore is the lineman the Chiefs signed?
Yes.
From the Niners?
Yeah. So Luke, they're all real people. Patrick Jones. So then Jalen Moore got $10 million. Jalen Moore is the backup, Trent Williams' backup left tackle that the Chiefs were like, you can be our starter. And then Patrick Jones, I think he went from the Vikings to, I am forgetting already, to be honest.
Luke Farrell.
The Panthers panicking they didn't get Milton Williams. And Luke Farrell, who is the Jags fullback tight end, and now the Niners are like, you could be like Kyle Juszczyk cosplay. But anyway, a lot of random people got paid.
And then it's like all the quote retweets are great. It's always like, Broncos get Hufanga. That defense is going to be insane. Pats retooling gritty Vrabel guys. Bears O-line. Bears are reloading and ready to win. I just love it.
The free agency is kind of like the 40-yard dash of the other part of the NFL, where it's like you ran a sick 40-yard dash and everyone's telling you why this guy's so good. You're like, all right, cool. So like, why does the whole team let him go? Why is he available? And like, that's kind of the minefield of free agency is, can you either find someone who's deeply misused or hasn't been healthy and will be healthy for you, or honestly, the rarest of all is actually a good player the team just couldn't keep because it was random, which is what you hope for with like a Milton Williams, because the Eagles just like have all these good players. But like, it's just a bunch of players that teams saw for 5 years and we're like, we don't need that guy back, which is generally speaking pretty bad.
Like the Bucks center Robert Hainsey signed with the Jags, and I saw somebody be like, Jags got their guy. And I'm like, what's going on?
Craig's like, I've never heard of this person.
Oh my God.
The center Robert Hainsey. Jags get their guy.
The Rams signed Devontae Adams, which was sick, and this was over the
terrifying.
Weekend. So he got 2 years for $46 million. Really,
tough fucking beat if you're Cooper Kupp.
I know. Oh my God. I mean, this is incredible. This is the X role. This is like that stationary outside receiver where it's like it was Brandon Cooks in this offense, and then the Rams made the Super Bowl, and then they tried to replace him, and then when they got Odell Beckham, then the Rams made and won the Super Bowl, even though he got hurt in the game. Like the game changed when Odell went out, and then they had like Demarcus Robinson trying to be it. But like, this is it. Bo Barnwell had this great note of just like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are just like Tutu Atwell are constantly in motion and like leading the league in catches after motion. And then Demarcus Robinson did not have a catch after motion this season. That's Davante Adams' job. Like, his job is to beat man. Everyone else's job is to beat zone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's pretty incredible for the Rams getting Matt Stafford and Davante.
The Rams are so annoying, man. They are the perfect rebuttal to any fan who's like, yeah, we're rebuilding. It's going to take a few years. It's like, well, look at what the Rams that keep doing. Why are they still competitive, even though we've like talked about them shitting the bed with this, that, or the other thing? Aaron Donald retired. They immediately got 2 really good rookies on the defensive line.
No first round picks. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they didn't pick in the first round for like 8 straight years. They went and traded for Matt Stafford, which turned out, I mean, I guess it did turn into be kind of like a wash because Jared Goff turned out really well for the Lions. But I mean, they got a Super Bowl out of that. They just keep doing this where it's like they make these really smart plays. I remember last year at the draft, there was all these rumors they were trying to trade up for Brock Bowers.
Oh, the Rams.
And I was like,
yeah.
Sorry. I was like, yeah, the Rams. And I was like, the NFL needs to step in. Do not let the Rams get Brock Bowers. This is bullshit. Dude, thank God they didn't, because look at what he turned into.
I'm sorry for you as a Seahawks fan where you're
like,
thank
God he's on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He's harmless there.
Good for me. Good for me
it's like the safety.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. The Seahawks losing DK Metcalf as the Rams gained Devontae. I don't know. This is
again. Who is the second best receiver on the Seahawks right now?
Oh, I pulled up the depth chart.
I implore you to tell me,
Craig. I want to play 2 Seahawks receivers in a lie with you right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's first rounder out of Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And that's number 1. And then as DK mentioned, Jake Bobo, who was he even drafted? Or was he a 7th round?
No, he was an undrafted because he ran a 4.9 in the 40.
It's number 2.
Impossible. I don't understand how that works.
He's the next Puka.
Other receivers on the Seahawks. Derek Young.
Nah, that can't be real.
I think it's Derek.
Okay. Satoa Lamea.
Well, I don't know for sure, actually.
John Reese Plumlee. Cody White.
One of those is fake?
Yeah.
Cody White.
No, he's real.
Damn.
Satoa Lamea is a backup right guard. But they have John Reese Plumlee, Jalen Darden, who's going to practice. John Reese Plumlee.
That's fucking fake.
John Reese no, he's real. John Reese Plumlee, Central Florida. He is right now your backup slot receiver.
From Central. Sounds like he's a Talladega Nights character.
John Reese Plumlee. Yeah, no, that guy.
Yeah.
So
remember how over the last couple of years I've just been talking to you guys and believing strongly that you need 2 at least really good receivers, and in some cases 3 really good receivers to be like a legit offense in the NFL. If you look around at the best offenses, they always have 2 at least, and sometimes 3.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going anywhere with that. It's just asking if you remember that.
If only you guys had someone that was like kind of big, like
If only we had someone that would literally change the dynamic of how
if
you
only
have
you
to
had
defend this team.
like a human Terminator on the field. In the prime of his life.
Who is also like the coolest guy, the coolest player to watch I've ever seen.
He is so cool.
The Steelers will lead the league in wide receiver penalties. Not even 100%.
Close. Oh my God,
Craig, it's going to annoy the fuck out of you. But
they're going to hate each other too. I will say though, with the Rams, I just can't get over this. I mean, yeah, I think Devontae. I also think there's all these old receivers that are around, like Stephon Diggs is coming off a torn ACL, and you have like Amari Cooper still kicking, DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs, and like Cooper Kupp obviously is going to get cut or traded. I think there's no question the person not near their prime, but capable every now and then reaching back and actually looking like the old version. Davante Adams is easily the closest to that, not even question. Like, he's kind of still 80% of what his prime was.
Do you remember when he had like 170 yards in the 4th quarter?
Yeah. He's unbelievable. And now it's Stafford. That's the thing. Stafford and Devontae, like,
Stafford's going to feed him. It's going to be so fun.
And so that's a guy you kind of want in fantasy, because I don't know. I'm torn, but Devontae Puka, I think that's going to be amazing for the Rams. They also give $10 million to Tutu Atwell, who doesn't have 1,000 yards in his entire career.
Stafford I think McVay likes Tutu Atwell, because there was that one stretch where everybody was hurt and Tutu kind of went off for like a month and a half. I think McVay is like, this guy's good.
Dude, Tutu Atwell is like Solak size, but he can run like a 4.3. And so he gets $10 million. That's unbelievable. They also re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo.
$10 million for a receiver isn't that much though, really. Like
well, I think that's the new tall enough to get in the ride. Right. It's like everyone's getting $10 million. The other ones I want to go through. So the Patriots signed a bunch of guys.
They've been
got 5
making
guys.
moves. They've been making some moves.
So the Patriots went at it. So they signed Milton Williams, the defensive tackle, away from the Eagles, and then they got Carlton Davis, the cornerback, away from the Lions for like $20 million a year, and then they got Robert Spillane, who was the Raiders linebacker, for like $12 million a year. Harold Landry, pass rusher for the Titans, $14 million a year. Morgan Moses, who was the Jets right tackle, for $8 million a year. Most of these guys just played for Mike Vrabel or Mike Vrabel's defensive coordinator. But it's exciting enough. Bill Simmons actually texted us and was like, Pats.
I know.
Things are going well.
I can't tell if it's Bill's unwavering positivity, but I do kind of think the Pats are doing a good job right now. You know?
I kind of remember when
it's bewildering.
I remember when Patriots fans would make fun of people who thought they won the offseason. And now it's like, that's what, that's Bill's thrill right now for the Pats is winning the offseason.
When you're at the bottom, that's all you have.
I guess we just get into what's going on with free agency right now, but there's a reason all these teams kept their talent. And so basically it was a bad free agent class, and then the cap went up. So again, teams have $100 million more in cap than they did 7 years ago, which is insane. So now you have a bad free agent class, and all these teams, honestly, they all blinked. They all re-signed their players. Like Chris Godwin went back to the Bucks, and I mean, Ronnie Stanley went back to the Ravens. Zach Bond went back to the Eagles, and go through the list. But all these guys kept their teams. All these teams kept their players. So the free agent class got worse, but now you still have the money to spend. So the Patriots did what I respect is just go and get the good players. And they just went and got good football. Like Milton Williams is a good defensive tackle. Is it too much money? Whatever. But like they had all this money. Carlton Davis is a good cornerback. So they're getting good football players at too much money, which I prefer than overpaying guys that maybe shouldn't even start for you at all. Because the Patriots,
right.
the Pats have the most cap space in the NFL because they haven't drafted anyone worth paying in like 4 years. So the Patriots are in this weird place where they don't have any talent on the team. They just need bodies. And so I think this was solid. This is
if you look at some of the recent draft classes for the for the Patriots, this is like to be like real and analytical for a minute. Like if you miss on one full draft class, which is it happens a lot. If you basically miss on every single one of them, it can set your team back like 2 or 3 years just because you don't have the depth. Then you have to spend all this money in free agency, and then you can't retain some of your best outgoing free agent. It just like really fucks up your roster development, like timeline. If you miss on all your players in a draft class, it can set you back years. And the Patriots have done that like 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years. If you look at some of these classes, it's like, yikes. None of these guys are good.
The Patriots, the Cole Strange year, shout out Chattanooga. The Cole Strange year, like 2022, they basically got almost nothing out of that draft. I guess Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, but then, that was kind of like a strange tenure for Jack Jones. So Marcus Jones, all right. And then you just go through all these other years. It's like Christian Gonzalez and Christian Barmore. The Christians are their best 2 Patriots. I don't even know if Christian Barmore is going to keep playing the NFL because he's got this blood clot issue. We don't know what he can return. So I think the Patriots got competitive. And again, that's another team where the vibes are like Mike Vrabel coming in, blank slate. Like that's kind of the Raiders of the AFC East, where you're just culture and they're just going to be competitive right off the bat. Like I won't be surprised if the Patriots smack the Miami Dolphins, even though on paper the Dolphins are a better team, just because I think the Patriots
still need
physical.
Receivers
and an offensive line. They need to really address both those things. But yeah,
the other one. So Cleveland re-signed Myles Garrett to a absolutely massive contract. There's still not a ton of details on this, but allegedly it's $40 million per year with 120
pass rushers are getting like quarterback money now.
I don't know if I even believe that $40 million a year, but like $40 million a year is preposterous for an NFL.
He's a great player.
Quarterback. He's good.
Not a bad thing to have good players on your roster.
Yeah. This is the only time I'm like, yeah.
It's the Browns.
There's no good option because if you pay Myles Garrett this contract that you've been so bad that he literally wanted to leave, he called LeBron James to go, like for permission from the patron saint of leaving Cleveland. And LeBron's like, do what you got to do. But then the flip side is,
but they got Kenny Pickett now.
I know.
So
fixed. But isn't Myles Garrett the best Brown since Jim Brown? Like in the 60s? Like you're going to be the person who gets rid of him? So they had to pay him.
$40 million a year heading into his year 30 season, and it's like
he's 30, Craig. Huh?
So is he 30 or is he going to be 31?
Well, he's going to be 30 in 2025
He's 29.
It really is true how
he
we
turns
do
30 in December.
We frame it however we want.
Of course. That's in all things in life. But part of me is like, this team stinks. And now you're going to give $40 million a year to a guy, a pass rusher who's going to be 30 this year. And every statistical data point you see shows the drop off of pass rushers when they get to like 30, 31. So it's like, obviously he's an outlier. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best pass rushers we've seen in a long time. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. You guys are you probably should trade him and get as many things as you can in return and just like rebuild. But sure, I guess you could just have one incredible player. I saw a really funny tweet from Invictus. And it says, the Browns are now rostered like my 7-year-old Pokemon team. One level 100 Gyarados and some Rattatas.
I don't know what that
I don't know
means.
what that means.
You don't know who Gyarados is?
No.
No. Who's Gyarados?
What? You never played Pokemon?
No.
Wow.
Calvin is really into Pokemon right now.
I think I have this job because I never played Pokemon. Because my mom would never buy me the cards because she thought that they were stupid. So all the kids, when they played Pokemon, I would just like read fantasy football magazines alone because I didn't have any Pokemon cards. And so now I do this.
I had Pokemon. I've only played like the original, more like earlier generations of Pokemon with the cards. But Gyarados was like one of the best Pokemons you can have. Level 100 is like the highest you can go. So
Gyarados?
it's just like the best of all time. And then a Rattata is like the most irrelevant, random little
just cannon
mouse
fodder
you can have on your team that will just get like blown away by the wind.
He's like a D'Ernest Johnson.
Damn, I went over 2 on people who know Pokemon on this podcast. Wow.
We need Solak.
Get Calvin on here. Calvin's obsessed with it right now.
Oh, is he any Pokemon?
Yeah.
Email us
Also,
about
you've been
Gyarados.
like 8 years old and your mom's like, Pokemon is stupid.
I was just like,
really
I was
funny.
just like, I was thinking about
She's
getting
like, we're not spending
Pokemon,
money on this.
and I was like, Mom, all the kids have Pokemon because I guess I was probably too afraid to ask her. I was just like, all the kids have Pokemon, kind of wanting Pokemon. She was like, well, Pokemon's dumb. I don't want you playing Pokemon. And I was like, yeah, it is dumb. And so I read about how Brandon Jackson might win the Packers running back job or some shit. And so, but yeah, no, I didn't. I never
That's
played
sad.
Pokemon. Yeah, I just sat. Well, because you know what the worst thing ever though is sit in a circle of people playing Pokemon and you don't fucking have cards. You're like, what are you gonna do? Listen to that.
This is
shit?
like how I feel about Paw Patrol. I'm not letting Paw Patrol happen in my household. It's
Dude, your
so
magic trick
annoying.
of the Paw Patrol machine broke, and so you stopped watching it for 2 years.
Lying is the best way that you can parent. It's like
Slippery
it's
slope.
really, really effective. Just lie through your teeth.
Sure.
Slippery slope.
What are the other lies you tell your children?
Oh, all kinds.
Like what?
My children.
Child, whatever.
Give me like the top 3 parent lies for a kid under 5 that makes life easier.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to think about that. That's a really
Email
good
us at
question.
ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Lies that are helpful to tell your
I mean,
children.
I think it's like number 1, just telling them something is broken because you don't want to do it is just a blanket.
Yeah.
It's so useful, so you can utilize it anytime, and they believe you. Kids are extremely gullible. You wouldn't believe it.
I think my mom told me, I think I've said this in the show, that when I was a kid, she told my brother and I that we were allergic to like dark soda, like colas.
Right.
So I was like, all right, not going to drink that.
I mean, that's a altruistic lie. So
I think you're going to tell the Steelers that the Aaron Rodgers machine is broken, right, Craig?
I want Aaron and I want him right now.
That's good. Email us the other parent lies. DK, if you think of any more, let us know.
I will.
But yeah, Garrett, we'll see. I mean, he's almost 30.
He's almost 30.
I think the other one, frankly, is this Myles Garrett one is, to me, there's also a business argument, which isn't always how you want to think about this stuff, but sometimes you have to. Who the fuck is on the tickets for the Cleveland Browns if you trade Myles Garrett? Like, how far can you push a fan base? This fan base has been through so much, and then once the moment they get competitive, you get to Deshaun Watson, you go all in. It's probably the worst transaction in the history of sports for a player. And it was bad when we thought he was good. And then now you're going to trade Myles Garrett. Also, the Cleveland Cavs are good. Like, at some point, people stop watching your team. Who is on the season ticket package for the Browns if Myles Garrett's gone?
That's fine, but like you're gonna win 5 games with them.
Do you think that's something that the GM really thinks about ever?
I think it's something all the owners think about. I think
but
again,
the GM.
The GM, yes and no, because you got to manage Jimmy Haslam. I think that probably not here, but like when John Morrow said, he didn't say Saquon's our best player. He said Saquon's our most popular player. I don't want to go to the Eagles. But I will say with the Myles Garrett thing,
It's a bad way to run a team, though, isn't it?
Yeah, fair. But I think the flip side is the football side is Myles Garrett. The best historical comp from is Reggie White, where Reggie White hit free agency, it was like 29, 30. And then everyone's like, I don't know if you want to pay this guy. He's old. And then Reggie White had like some of the best years of his career after 30. And he's like a Hall of Famer and probably one of the 4 best defensive
But like,
linemen
I
of all
just
time.
don't. Even if Myles Garrett has 20 sacks next year, it's like, okay, you still won 5 games.
But in a world where, like, dude,
Craig,
Dan
you
Moore
got to try to
Jr.
win.
But
You
Dan
gotta
Moore
try to have
Jr.
good players.
You have to try to win. You're the fucking Browns.
But you
how,
also
how do you try
pay-
to win next year?
But the context
By
again
having a
is
good player like Myles Garrett. on
look
your
at all
team.
the money
that
being
makes
thrown
no
at
sense to me.
Dan Moore Jr., who was an unremarkable offensive lineman for the Steelers, who frankly wasn't even okay until
No,
like
he was
last
bad.
year.
I'm glad he's gone.
He's getting. Guess what? Dan Moore Jr. The
He
Titans
wants Aaron
paid.
Rodgers. Fuck this other guy.
The Titans paid him more than Lane Johnson gets paid by the Eagles. Lane Johnson's like the best right tackle in the NFL. And he's getting less money than Dan Moore Jr. got from the Titans today. So in that world, don't you want to just pay Myles Garrett too much, then pay Dan Moore Jr. like half as much?
No, get 1 million draft picks. Go the route of the Thunder or the Eagles. Or the Sixers. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But like, if you're close to the bottom, you might as well get there and get as much fuel as you can to rebuild.
What if
They're
you
gonna be
only get a
terrible
first and a
next year.
second because Myles Garrett wants $40 million? What do you can only get a first and a second? Because
Yeah, I mean,
teams-
look, I know it's complicated. He wanted a ton of money, but this does not move the needle for the Browns as Super Bowl contenders because they're not going to win the Super Bowl or make the playoffs.
I just have more empathy
They're
after
in the
losing.
best division in the
I know,
the
and
league.
just after losing Saquon and then before that Odell, but really Saquon, I just have more empathy from fuck your best player. Who needs him? You suck. And I'm like, it's kind of all you have.
I don't know.
I will say this though, to your point, he has multiple foot injuries last year, which again, he led the league in tackles for loss. But if Myles Garrett does decline, this is a catastrophe because they have the Watson thing and the Myles Garrett thing. You need Myles Garrett to stay incredible, or else this is horrific. So anyway, on that note, the other one that happened today, the Bills re-signed Josh Allen for this is over the weekend. Bills re-signed Josh Allen for, 6 years and $330 million, which was bizarre because he was under contract for 4 more years.
I know. I was like, I didn't actually. He wasn't on my radar for guys that might get an extension.
Well, because
So-
he was making so little money per year that they basically had to do this, and
So-
it's still a it's still a very team friendly deal for the Bills.
Right.
Josh, so he got a lot of money last year. Like the way the contracts work isn't as neat as just like the average per year is called average for a reason. But the problem was Josh won MVP, but Brock Purdy might get like double the cash paid to him this year that Josh Allen will, which is unacceptable. And so the middle ground they came to is they're going to pay Josh this money, and it's enough that it's a huge raise for Josh Allen, but it's not crazy for the Bills because it's basically like the Dak Prescott deal, which is palatable. Literally what they did is he had 4 years left for like $130 million. They literally added, shout out to Greg Thompson at Cover One for explaining this to me. They literally just added 2 years and $200 million. Like, I'm not kidding. They literally, he had 4 years left for 130. They added, now he has 6 years for 330.
And they're just spreading it out over the 6
Just
years.
spreading it out. So instead of like, he was going to make $32 million over the next
that's
few years.
insane.
Literally the next 3 years, he was going to get paid what Sam Darnold's getting paid from the Seahawks. Like same money, $100 million over 3 years.
Don't put it
Actually,
that
less
way.
than Sam Darnold.
You could have had Josh Allen, DK.
Yeah, you could have Josh
Damn
Allen. Maybe that's why they traded Geno and then the Bills re-signed Josh. And they're like, oh, damn.
I think John Schneider keeps trading quarterbacks. He traded Russell Wilson away. He traded Geno Smith away because he just still thinks about how much he wishes he would have drafted Josh Allen. There's like all these reports that always say the Seahawks really liked Josh Allen that year, and they tried to trade up with the Browns to take Josh Allen, which is great in hindsight.
Yeah.
Well, the irony is
Would have gone D1.
all the other teams talk about how they almost drafted Russell Wilson in the third.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the Seahawks thing, we didn't talk about this, but there's something about you signed Matt Flynn and drafted Russell Wilson and he beat out Matt Flynn. So you're like, damn, I'm sick. And then you trade Russell Wilson, it works out great. And you get Geno and that works. And you're like, damn, I'm sick. And this is like the third time where you're like, we're going to do something again.
Maybe this is hubris.
That's the one that gets you. The third time,
Right.
maybe take your chips off the table. A few other deals here are just boring offensive line signings. Washington traded for Laramie Tunsil as the left tackle for the Texans. A lot of picks. I don't know if you want me to list them all, but basically, they swapped it was Tunsil and a fourth to the Commanders, and the Texans got a third this year, and then they also got a second and a fourth next year, plus a seventh. So the Texans at all get
4 picks. I guess 3. Yeah.
The Texans got moved from a 4th rounder into a 3rd rounder this year, and then they get a 2nd and a 4th next year for Laramie Tunsil. But he's also somehow only like 30 years old.
He is 30. What are the Texans doing?
I don't know. This is kind of strange.
I kind of wasn't thinking the Texans could use less offensive line help.
Maybe this is one of those things where it's like the team is telling you how they feel about a player.
Yes. Because what's weird is the last game he played in 2023 that Texans-Browns playoff game and the 2023, January 2024, Laramie Tunsil like shut down Myles Garrett. Laramie Tunsil was incredible that year. He wasn't as good this year, but I'm also like, but the whole offense wasn't. So I don't know what to parse of how much was him, how much was the offense, how much was the offensive line, the literal lack of coordination. But I agree with DK where if they're willing to trade him at all, it suggests to me that they don't think he's worth keeping at left tackle, which is wild to me. So
teams have been wrong in the past, for the record.
They also signed Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios at wide receiver.
Problem solved.
So Tank Dell, I'm not sure if he'll be back next year. So they're going to, and Stephon Diggs is a free agent. So they're going to have Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, who's coming off an injury, Braxton Berrios, Tank Dell.
I don't know if we're seeing Tank Dell this year because he had that horrible knee injury. He had the ACL, the MCL, and all this stuff. And so he had one surgery in December. He just had, I believe, the ACL surgery like a week ago. So like early March, when a lot of these surgeries get done, and like January's late.
Not looking likely. And they traded for Christian Kirk. They traded a 7th rounder for Christian Kirk.
Yeah. So I feel like Christian Kirk is going to be, I don't know if it's the Tank Dell role, but I don't think we're going to see Tank, but we'll see Christian Kirk for the Texans. But yeah, it's exciting, I think, for Washington to get a real left tackle for Jaden Daniels because they had Brandon Coleman, and they had this like kind of stitched together Washington offensive line, which was our biggest concern with them coming into last season. That's why we were kind of down on I was kind of down on Washington. Was I didn't know how the line would work, and they kind of made it not a problem. But I think they could do more downfield stuff if they had more protection. But a lot of the screens were also kind of to protect the line.
Was there any sneaky signings that made you guys, get excited? Eli Mitchell to the Chiefs. I was kind of like, ooh, I like Eli Mitchell.
Who?
Elijah.
Yeah.
Called him Eli. What are you, friends?
Eli Mitchell. See, I don't know. You don't call him Eli Mitchell?
Call him Elijah.
Well, I call him Eli. We're friends.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Craig. I had forgotten that person existed.
Elijah Mitchell is very good. He can't stay healthy. He
tore his ACL in August.
He's kind of Raheem Mostert for the Niners, but again on the Niners. But I think he's really good.
I just think it's weird the Chiefs are absorbing the Niners' second string, which speaks to how bad the Chiefs are for a great team. Because I still can't get over signing the backup left tackle from the first deal that happened at afternoon was that signing the backup left tackle, Jalen Moore, who's a 5th rounder in 2021 and started 12 games. And then Elijah Mitchell, who missed the entire season. And the Chiefs just zoomed in to just be like, we need these two dudes back up in San Francisco.
Kid's got talent.
I think at the end of the day, this is all going to look pretty bad for everyone. I kind of like how the Bears redid their offensive line.
Yeah,
I think they traded for 2 offensive linemen in Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. Sorry.
Speaking of the Chiefs, speaking of the team
Drew
who was
Dahlman.
like, who needs offensive linemen, and the Chiefs traded Joe Thuney away to the Bears.
Yeah. What do you know that we don't know? But I do like what they've done in terms of addressing very obvious positions of need and using some of the cap space they have.
I think the Thuney thing makes sense because, again, that's a guy that's available because the Chiefs are like, do we want to spend a ton of money at guard right now? Probably not because they have all these other things they got to do. But the Bears are like, screw it. We just need, number one is to protect Caleb Williams. So Joe Thuney at left guard, I think, is solid. And then they went and got Jonah Jackson, who played for Ben Johnson in Detroit. Jonah Jackson was a mess in the Rams. Like Jonah Jackson signed a huge deal to go to the Rams, couldn't play for them. And then the Bears just took on the deal. But he's going back to Ben Johnson. So that's kind of, all right, well, if Ben
Hopefully
Johnson should know
work,
what the deal is. And then they signed Drew Dahlman, who's the center for the Falcons. And sure, lost.
Heifetz, we've gone
an offensive line.
We've gone over an hour without mentioning the Giants. How are you feeling?
Well, they have a quarterback on the roster now. They signed Tommy DeVito.
Yep.
They re-signed Tommy DeVito.
There's a lot
That's
of Russell
cool.
Wilson to the Giants whispers at the moment. How are you feeling about this?
Is that right?
Well, maybe not a lot, but
I feel like Craig
it.
and I, we're playing hot potato for Aaron Rodgers.
We are.
Either, like, I don't want it. You don't want him.
And Rodgers is just basking in it right now.
He's gonna like draw this out for at least.
You guys
4
got
days.
the corner, Debo. Are you
Paulson
happy about that?
Paulson, who led the league in penalties last year.
Yeah,
Paulson Adebo.
Yeah.
That's 30 at this point, $10 billion for a corner, whatever. I don't know, man. Cap space, it's all fake. It's you got to spend it on someone, I guess. Even if he led the league in flags, I don't know, he was injured. I guess maybe he'll be healthier. I don't even know what to say about the Giants. Like,
it's good, Heifetz. You come back to it every year. We talk about this every year. It's basically a cliche at this point. The teams that do nothing on day one of the free agency period are usually best off.
So you're saying the Giants are the team that's... Well, the Seahawks did on day -1, so maybe they're ahead of the curve.
True. Yeah.
What do you want the Giants to do?
Literally anything.
A few moments later.
DK wants to kill me, but we're recording because the Giants, after we stopped recording this episode, signed Darius Slayton to a contract.
No one cares.
No one cares. Okay, well, here's where I'm going with this.
3
DK's
years.
like, why are we doing this?
$36 million.
That's the fucking Saquon contract they wouldn't give to Saquon Barkley. They gave it to Darius Slayton. Saquon left for the Eagles with 3 years for $37 million. They gave it a year later to Darius Slayton, who they've wanted off the team for 5 years.
They've been trying to trade him since I can
What
remember.
happened there?
It's literally the
He's
same
their
thing.
most popular player.
Slayton literally
He's on the tickets.
he led the NFL in receiving, or sorry, not the NFL. He led the Giants in receiving 4 of his first 5 seasons, and never had 800 yards in a year. And then the Giants literally have been trying to get rid of him every year. Like he was a Gettleman 5th round pick out of Auburn. And he's like, Darius Slayton's good. He should be the 4th receiver on the Chiefs. They literally gave him the Saquon deal. A year ago, they wouldn't pay Saquon, and they didn't want Darius Slayton either.
I'm sure he's not going to get half of this money, but yeah.
What is why just pay Saquon? We're sitting here talking about all these rando people getting paid. Darius Slayton's getting $12 million a year. Why didn't the Giants just pay Saquon? On one hand, we're just like, don't pay running backs. It's a bad value. And then they're like, oh, you got to pay Darius Slayton $12 million a year because he's a receiver who plays. What the fuck?
On the bright side, he'll probably have 700 yards this year.
Yeah. Tutu Atwell gets $10 million a year. He's never had he had a career high 534 yards this year. And then we're like, well, he's a starting receiver. And the Giants didn't pay Saquon. Whatever. It's fine.
It was a bad decision. Very clearly.
I thought the Giants wanted to get rid of him.
They do.
Well,
They have.
Clearly not.
Well, for the 4th year in a row, they tried and realized they had no better options. I'm not shitting you. This is the 4th season in a row that they tried and realized they actually can't get rid of Darius Slayton. And like, this is another thing. It's like they could have traded him for like a 5th round pick like 2 years ago, or a 4th. Probably not a 4th, probably 5th. But still, just trade him. Now you're paying. Oh my God, they're so stupid. I hate my team.
We've come full circle.
I hate my team. I actually hate them.
Why don't you dedicate your life to becoming the Giants GM? You really should.
That's a good mix because I hate the Giants and then I'll hate myself.
Yeah.
And I'll be like a great race of who I hate more. I just like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is where I'm having more Rockmunis and more empathy for like the Browns keeping Myles Garrett and all these people.
Rockmunis? What's
What'd
that?
you just
It's
say?
a Yiddish word for empathy. Just like I feel you.
Okay.
And I just like,
He says that as if we would know that. He just ran right past that.
yeah, you're right. But it's because I'm in my feels. This is why I like the Raiders getting Geno Smith. I don't want to hear anything about, well, they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm like, the Raiders are getting Geno Smith so they can be competitive.
Yeah.
I need to watch competitive football. I cannot believe they just if I had told any Giants fan 2 years ago, they're not going to pay Saquon, but they'll give the Saquon money to Darius Slayton, people would have shit their pants.
Here's a question. Where do you think Darius Slayton is ranked among wide receivers in the NFL? Like
60th? No, probably
89th?
80th. Probably 80th.
89th? Saquon Barkley is pretty clearly the best running back, if not maybe the worst case, like top 3. It's just funny how that works. He's Darius Slayton squarely in the zone of does not matter.
So I'm on Fantasy Pros, and I'm looking at their wide receiver rankings for 2025, and Darius Slayton is 97th.
Among receivers?
Among receivers.
Yeah. Feels about right.
Well, where's
Jesus
Saquon among
Christ.
running backs?
1.
1.
Dude, they literally wouldn't pay him Saquon last year, and they're giving it to Darius Slayton.
Can't live in the past, Heifetz. Can't live in the past.
Dude, Darius Slayton is only 2 spots ahead of who's Torrey Horton?
He's an incoming rookie.
Oh
my God.
He's behind Tank Dell, who probably won't even play.
Yes.
Tank Dell got ACL surgery several days ago.
Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, thank you for indulging me. I hate this team. I would like to stop hating them.
Your face got really red. That was like maybe the most red I've seen your face get.
Dude, I keep realizing I'm not even close to over the Saquon thing. I'm like multiple
You're
stages.
never going to be over it.
Yeah,
you're going to be telling your kids about it.
Classic. Right. Joe Shane having the audacity to go to his press conference podium at the combine and say, I believe in taking shots at quarterback when he had 0 quarterbacks on the team was like astonishing. And so I don't know. It's just the true irony is where they should end up. They should just have Daniel Jones back, which they can't do. But like at some point,
they can't do that.
If Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers, and I'm looking down at Aaron Rodgers or who's the next best option, and I'm like, oh my God, the next best option is fucking Daniel Jones.
Who just signed? Breaking news here: Zach Wilson signs a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Dolphins. He got $6 million to go play
with
for the
Miami.
Dolphins.
Backup.
Yeah,
that's
not bad.
It's good money.
Skylar Thompson. The Giants suck, man. I don't know. It's so literally Tommy DeVito is like supposed to be a meme for 3 weeks, and that was 3 seasons ago. He's going to be on this team again. So whatever. But overall, the Bears helping Caleb Williams is good. The Washington helping Jaden Daniels, good offensive line. The Chiefs obviously like they needed. I don't know if a left tackle who's a backup helps Patrick Mahomes, but they're trying.
Do you think Tommy DeVito is the all-time most famous quarterback in terms of fame per win?
Probably, because like Tim Tebow is up there just because of how famous he is.
He was already famous.
And factoring in the college thing, like he won 2 Heismans. Like
Tim Tebow's like crazy famous.
Yeah. DeVito is really well known in NFL circles. And how many games did he win as a starter? Like 3?
He's won 3.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
He's more famous than like other starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, right. Like, is he more famous than
Gardner Minshew?
No, Minshew had kind of like a cult.
Yeah, he had a moment.
Yeah, maybe not a starting quarterback, but I mean, he's like legitimately like famous, and he's won 3
he's
games.
Up there with Zach Wilson, who's more. I don't know. Who's heard of more.
Like he's more famous than Trey Lance, right?
I think he has to be.
Yeah.
Wow, that is sad. Speaking of that, is Trey Lance a free agent? Why don't you sign him?
I don't know. Other re-signings that happened again. Just Chris Godwin went back to the Bucs. I think it makes sense from the rehab there. The Ravens panicked and went back to Ronnie Stanley. The Chiefs re-signed Nick Bolton, their linebacker. They re-signed Hollywood Brown for a year. The other Xavier Worthy was also arrested in Texas, which was crazy. Xavier Worthy, the Chiefs receiver, booked for 3rd-degree felony assault, and then the district attorney in Texas declined to pursue charges. So Worthy was released the next day and not charged. But overall, you have this Chiefs receiver room where Rashee Rice was facing 8 felony charges in Dallas after a 6-car crash last year. Hollywood Brown pled guilty to criminal speeding, going 126 and a 65. The other Chiefs receiver, Justin Ross, was charged with domestic battery 2 years ago. The charges were terminated, but he was charged. And that doesn't even include Tyreek Hill. What the fuck is going on with the Chiefs receivers?
I got a take. No car should be physically able to go over 80 miles an hour. Who loses in that scenario?
You didn't mention Kadarius Toney, who also was arrested. He was arrested for assault this last a month or 2 ago.
Like, why does a car need go? Maybe we could go 90. Why does a car need to go faster than 90 miles an hour?
Dude, there are highways in Texas where the speed limit is 90.
Perfect. Then the cap can be 90. There are no cars that need 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour. There's no need.
Craig, your scientists were too busy trying to figure out if they could, and they
You know,
what's the rest of the thing?
They didn't spend the time wondering if they should.
Right, I think there's 2 kinds of people, 2 kinds of drivers: people who like fucking love going over 100 miles an hour, and people who are really afraid to go over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't deny. I'm the latter. I don't need to go 100 miles an hour, but
clearly,
I understand people like enjoying it and thinking it's fun and electrifying, but still, it should not be. That's
Go live in Germany and go drive the Autobahn or something.
Yeah, go to fucking Germany if you want to go 120 miles an hour.
I think there are people listening right now that are just enraged.
Is that really?
That's gonna keep Craig up at night.
It's a bad take. Like, no, people should be allowed to go 120 miles an hour.
Anti-American of you, Craig. I just want to go fast.
No,
just don't have a cool car.
How have we not talked about
racing? Then
there's one big news item that we have not discussed.
What did I forget?
Josh Palmer.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Josh
my
Palmer
God!
Signing.
Should have led with this.
Forgot about it.
Josh Allen.
I didn't know he was a free agent.
He literally got the Saquon Barkley Eagles contract last year, but to the Bills.
Dude.
Was it 3 years, 37?
Yeah, 3 years, 30. Yeah, $12 million a year.
This is the guy we're going to be talking about this time next year. Super Bowl hero.
The Josh to Josh connection will be strong, and people will soon come to realize how underutilized he was last year and how great he is. And I will say the Josh Palmer hive is already out in full force. bringing up a lot of underlying metrics that went unnoticed last year. Explaining why the Bills made an incredibly savvy signing in Josh Palmer and how he is actually now the best wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills.
You don't actually reference any of these actual stats, but they're out there.
Separation score is elite. He's got great hands. Those are real. He had awesome separation score, much better than any player on the Bills right now. He had awesome hands. He dropped one pass last year.
Remember Amari Cooper?
He's a good player. Amari Cooper's not on the Bills.
Well, not anymore.
No.
Matt Collins, gone.
Khalil Shakir and Josh Palmer is a great place to start.
And Keon Coleman.
Yeah. And Keon Coleman, sure.
I actually like
guys
Keon
disagree?
Coleman.
No.
I like Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Palmer's a really good group.
That's solid.
It's cute.
That's rock solid.
It's cute, yeah.
They need like they need some juice. They need DK
guy.
Metcalf there to kind of round things out, but that's not a bad base. You got
Curtis Samuel's fast.
They have the carrots, the celery, and the onion. They don't have a meat yet, but it's not bad.
Well,
It's
Josh
a broth.
Allen's the meat. That's what the money's. That's what the $200 billion extra
right.
is for.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now they got a stew going.
It'd be sick if Dalton Kincaid would do something.
Dude, what's up with him?
I don't know.
Why, DK? Why is he bad?
I don't know.
Is he bad?
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid he is. I liked him a lot coming out of college. I thought he was really dynamic, really exciting. The way he moved was pretty unique. Like he was his body control, his ability to run after the catch.
Does he not do that anymore? Like
He doesn't do any of it anymore.
Was he just cutting through?
Imagining it?
Was he just cutting through USC shitty Pac-12 defenses?
I was going to say, is the difference just the competition is overwhelming?
Probably.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell when that's going to be a factor or not, huh?
It is. I think I remember him playing. He had the most insane game against USC, I believe. And I would remember just being like, this guy's awesome. Cannot wait to see him in the NFL. Reminds me of Travis Kelce.
Where did he go to college again?
I think Dawson
Utah.
Knox might be better than him.
Utah. I went to Utah. Okay.
Anyway, hopefully he's better this year.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just had a lot of injuries. Who knows?
Heifetz, gun to head. Where's Aaron Rodgers in 2 days?
I think he's on one of our teams.
Yeah, I think so too.
I
Aaron
think
Rodgers
he's a
on the
Steeler.
Giants just
Dude,
feels weird.
I'm not thinking about it because
The one thing
If
is
he-
like, is he trying to squeeze some? He's trying to squeeze both teams for cash right now. I don't know if the Steelers are going to like shell out for Aaron Rodgers.
dude, the Giants, I don't. What do you guys think of the Giants signing Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think it doesn't make any sense.
I don't think it makes any sense.
I think it is the literal. If put it this way, how many times have you seen that meme from Arrested Development of the? How could you possibly ever want to sign Aaron Rodgers? It's like, has that ever worked for anyone? It's like, oh well, people just delude themselves into thinking it worked for them, but it could work for us. It's like the Giants having, like, if the Giants saw what happened to the Jets last year, and then take Aaron Rodgers. It's to me similar to how they watched Jason Garrett for 10 years as the Cowboys head coach and then hired Jason Garrett to run their offense, where I also will talk myself into it in like 90 seconds. But yeah. I feel
there is still enough like smoke with Aaron Rodgers where you can still convince yourself that it like his past self is still here, just hidden. Like I can still believe. I will still look at the fact that he threw 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions last year, which is a completely ridiculous number that is not indicative of how good he was.
Most misleading. And then he got everyone fired.
Yes,
oh my God.
Like there are ways just like we said, with is the guy 29 or is he 30? It depends on your perspective. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers right now.
Let's do an email here.
Email.
I want to give a special shout out to Willie,
Bill,
Big Willie,
who, if you guys remember, first of all, obviously Wojtek the bear, the Polish soldier, the Polish bear, who was a soldier
who we call Wojtek
in World War II. We call him Wojtek because we're not good with Polish, and so he smoked cigs and drank coffee and killed Nazis and he got a medal in World War II.
He got a medal?
He should have been the real main
corporal.
character of Cocaine Bear. It should have been about Wojtek.
Yeah, that should be the prequel. The prequel to Cocaine Bear is War Bear.
He's just on caffeine and cigarettes.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. So he's a decorated soldier. He was given a what was his medal?
Decorated.
All right, maybe he didn't get a medal.
I think he did get a medal. I think you're right. He definitely got promoted.
He
was promoted from private to corporal.
Yeah, he was incredible.
Which imagine the shitheads that didn't get a promotion under a bear got a promotion over me. Jesus Christ.
Honey, did you get that promotion? No, they gave it to that fucking bear.
The fucking bear.
So
They trust this bear more to be in charge of people than me.
Wojtek the bear. So anyway, Polish bear. And the Chicago Bulls G League affiliate, the Windy City Bulls, had a Polish Heritage Night where they had a bobblehead of Wojtek the bear with the Chicago Bull. And I put out on Blue Sky, please, if anyone is able to get their hands on one of these, can I have one? I would like to shout out Bill, who literally mailed me the bobblehead.
Wow. Look at that thing.
And we got it.
Amazing.
And if you're on Spotify or wherever, YouTube, I'm going to do a live unboxing right now.
What does he got? What's he got?
What's
next
he holding there? Unbox it.
Well, this is the bear. This is the
Chicago
Bull.
What is he
with the
holding?
bear.
Oh, I get it.
I thought the. Oh, okay.
I thought the bull was the bear.
I know. You kind of thought the bear would be taller.
Me too. I
I'm not
was
gonna
like,
lie.
I kind of just looks like the Chicago Bull, but
We have a bull.
it really had. You know.
I see now why they wouldn't make the bear like the main part of the Bulls thing, but look at that.
The bull was just like, I can't get fucking upstaged. It's in my contract.
Look at that. Wojtek the bear.
So Wojtek doesn't actually bobble.
Oh, you're right. Well, actually,
It's still cool.
he's got a neck brace on.
Yeah, take off
the
the
fact
neck
that
brace.
this exists is awesome.
Dude, it says Wojtek on the thing.
Gus T. Oh, I get it. Windy. Okay.
Gus T.
Oh,
and
Gus T. Oh, yeah, that's the name of the mascot.
wait,
Gus
what's
T.
what are the letters before Wojtek?
I think Miss. I don't know if this is rank or Mr. Wojtek, or is that how you say
It's
like
probably
corporal in Polish?
Yeah, it's probably a Polish thing.
I wish he had
Look
a
at that.
cigarette in his mouth, but that's
Dude,
pretty
I was
cool.
gonna say there's no coffee or cigs in
If
this
I was-
bobblehead.
If I was
But
to
shout out
quibble,
Will Billy for getting me this.
Did he wear
Unbelievable.
a uniform?
Wait, no. What's with the fur?
Did
is
he have
for?
anything? Did he wear anything, or is he just?
I
kind
bet
of
they made him wear like something on his neck.
I picture him wearing a hat, but I'm sure that's wrong.
He definitely had kind of like a collar.
Yeah,
That's
he had a
it, though?
collar because he's a
Yeah.
bear. Dude, look
But
at
then
this
the rest of
photo
it,
him
he's
standing.
he's just not wearing anything. I was gonna say maybe he's got like the Pooh Bear thing going on with just a t-shirt, but no, not even a t-shirt.
I kind of always pictured him in like a full military uniform.
They're doing like the inspection. Why aren't your boots polished?
He's standing in that line in the morning.
Looking around. He's 7 feet tall.
Okay. We'll come back later this week with more free agency stuff. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for, I don't know, other Wojtek the Bear stuff, other animals with medals. What was the other thing I wanted? Oh, things you'll lie to your children about that help. We're going to spread the gospel to parents. Misty Mountains, the song puts babies, makes them stop crying. Now we're going to make older kids, just lie to them. And email other sourdough tips to Craig and I. Email ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. And yeah, follow us on Blue Sky and on Instagram, Ringer Fantasy Football. And Blue Sky, our handles are there. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Counting Crows.
Thank
Nice.
you, Will, again for the bobblehead. Counting Crows, dude. Yeah.
I was trying to think, what's that song? You don't know what you got till it's gone. Is that
Yeah, Parking Lot. That's a Joni Mitchell song, but they covered it.
right? That's what I kept thinking about with respect to Geno Smith.
You don't
just
know what
I
you
feel
got
like
till it's gone.
I
Yeah.
feel like there's going to be this moment where Geno Smith throws 30 touchdowns next year, and Seahawks fans are like, "Fuck."
You know what I think about a lot? How like Ben McAdoo wanted to bench Eli Manning for Geno Smith, and everyone rioted, including me, because Geno was like the Jets washout. And I'm like, they should have listened to Ben McAdoo.
I mean,
Damn.
Ben McAdoo was 100% right.
He was super right.
Where is he
Sorry,
these
Ben.
days?
He's like I think is he with the he's a quarterback consultant. He's a very respected quarterback guy because of stuff like that.
God, remember the slicked back hair?
Oh, he's
That was
the
no,
best.
it's the
He's in the
Patriots.
Patriots.
Shit.
Man, he's only 47. Hey, he'll be 48 though.
All right, goodbye, everyone.